Good morning, YouTube pipe smokers. Prairie Piper here on a brisk morning out at the lake. Not my lake, a good buddy of mine's lake. And we'll get into that a little bit more. This is kind of just going to be an impromptu video on what I take with me when I'm going out to the lake. It's just sort of a quick grab bag, nothing sophisticated. When I'm coming out here to the lake, I just throw it in my backpack and I'm out the front door. So we'll take a look at that, and I'll give you a little bit more information on where I am and what I'm smoking, and we'll go from there. So let's just check out my little travel bag here. It's very simple, rudimentary, but I'll show you what I take with me when I'm coming out to the lake out here in the Interlake. Give me a sec here. Okay, so here it is. Whoops, pretty basic. I'm just air drying some Haunted Bookshop, of course, as you might know. Typically when I'm traveling, especially if I'm going out to the lake, it's just a very simple ribbon cut. I don't want flakes or plugs when I'm sitting around the campfire, sitting outside on the deck. It's just way too difficult to mess around with plugs and cakes and whatnot, for me at least. When I'm out at the lake, I just want something that's easy to just throw in the pipe and let her rip. So for me, that's Haunted Bookshop ribbon cut. So pretty simple. I got a traveling pouch there, and in the traveling pouch, I'll show you. I'll get you a closer look at the pipe. That's BST, Briar Sweat and Tears pipe, and it's very simple. Just some pipe cleaners, check tool, lighter. I do have matches in the leather. It's a Peterson case, but the name's worn off. And there's my jar of tobacco. Be careful when you're so I basically keep this kit outside on the deck, but don't keep your tobacco out on the deck. I actually made that mistake yesterday because the sun will torch it and dry it out, and then you're hooped. So you can put the tobacco inside the pouch, but for me it's just easier to grab the tin. So one thing I'll show you here, this is a really nice pipe. Maybe let's get into some better lighting here. So this is a rusticated, dog's barking here, my buddy's dogs. What you'll notice about this pipe versus almost all my other pipes, this is a nice hawkbill, which Todd doesn't do many of them. I really enjoy this pipe. One thing you want to consider when you're traveling with pipes, and again, I'm not traveling to a pipe show, I'm not traveling for business or pleasure, so this kit is different than what I would travel with, if I was taking a plane or going somewhere, or going to a pipe show or whatnot. This is basically my fishing, camping, going out to the lake pipe. Now, I wouldn't recommend, I bought this pipe a few years ago, so it's gone up in price like everything else, but I probably wouldn't recommend using a nice pipe like this. It just sort of defaulted into becoming my lake pipe, sort of my cabin pipe as I call it, and you can see the top of the bowl there, the rim is charred the shit out of. And the reason you don't typically want to use an expensive pipe, for fishing, camping, or going out to the lake, whatever it might be, is you're going to beat it up. And this just by default, I think a few years ago I got lazy, I grabbed it, and it just became it looks like a camping pipe, does it not? Beautiful rustication on there. But again, I mean, you're out here on the deck, there's wind, you're dealing a little bit more with the elements when you're out at the lake. And so matches don't work that well unless you want to disappear into the car to get a charring light, but even that doesn't work very well when you're out in the elements. We're like 10 minutes walk from the lake here, from Lake Manitoba, so we get a lot of wind off the lake here. So in most places when you get out into the bush, it's just a little bit windier out here, so you generally, matches are not going to work like I said, unless you're going to sit in your car and pipe and isolate yourself from everybody else. So I smoke this on the deck, and the reason it's charred on the top is because I use a lighter. And you can see what happens when you use a lighter on your pipe, you know. But again, this is I call it a beater pipe, and it's a rather expensive beater pipe. I wouldn't recommend doing this, but like I said, you know, get yourself a corn cob, or just, you know, a cheaper $60 or $70 pipe that you can toss around, throw in the truck, throw in the car, whatever it is, and smoke without really having to worry about being gentle with it. But this ended up being a beater, even though it's quite a gorgeous pipe. So there it is. I'm going to pack this, and I'll take you for a little bit of a walk and a tour of where I am. So, I mean, I'll try to smoke it out here with the video, but it's pretty windy out here. But give me a sec. Let me light this up, and we'll take you for a little walk around where I am. It gets pretty windy out here, like I said, because we're close to the Lake Manitoba. But I'll take you guys for a little cruise here around the property. It's 2 acres. Half of it's treed and the other half's not. It's field. So let's go take a look. Like I said, we're dealing with the elements out here, so that's why I use a lighter and that's why the rim's charred on this nice pipe. Let's go take a look. It's got 2 dogs that may follow us out here. Hopefully you can hear me. Again, this is really just sort of an ad hoc video today. That wind's picking up here. So this is there's 2 driveways. This is the second driveway, sort of loops in. He's going to close this up. But, so this is 1 acre from the tree line here on the left. And his property line basically is his property is all the grass that's cut. So you can see on the right here, that's the property line where the grass starts. And all the way to the gravel road there in front of us. And then on the far left there, as I pan over, that's the property line on the other side. Just come out here a little bit. Some hay bales. That's the farmer's field across there. We're basically in rural Manitoba here, about an hour and a half north of Winnipeg, like I said, in the Interlake. I live in the Interlake, 30 kilometers north of Winnipeg, but this is the Interlake. That's we're right beside Lake Manitoba. We're on Lake Manitoba right now. Lake Manitoba is, you can see those cabins there and some of them houses there. That's the lake. So there's a pretty good breeze coming off the lake, as there usually is. Yeah, my pipe is just hoeing in here. There's probably not going to be much tobacco left of it soon. It's just smoking like a freight train on its own here with the wind. So that's like I said, that's the lake in front of us there. I could walk there in probably 10 minutes, 5 minutes by car. And it's a big lake. So Lake Manitoba and Lake Winnipeg are 2 very, very large lakes. Fairly shallow as lakes go, though. Lake Manitoba, I think, it's the shallower of the 2. I think it's probably only 25-30 feet deep at its highest depths. And Lake Winnipeg Lake Winnipeg's bigger and deeper. Lake Winnipeg is the 10th largest freshwater lake in the world. Just to give you an idea of how big it is. Big lakes, though. Like when you're looking onto the water, it looks like you can't see the other side. I mean, it just looks like it kind of looks like the ocean when you look out, and it just goes forever. Obviously, it's not the ocean, but they're very, very, very large lakes. Driving out here, like I said, this is pretty much typical of what you're going to see in the Interlake. You know, farmers' fields, cattle, canola oil, hay bales, stuff like that. You know, a lot of open land out here. Really, really nice to get out of the city. I mean, I'm not in the city. I'm in a bigger town, but it's pretty quiet out here. There's the neighbor's property there. So like I said, just a little impromptu video here of where I was. I drove out here yesterday morning. For reference, I guess, we're 18 kilometers from a small rural town called Lundar, Manitoba. So it's right beside Lake Manitoba, the lake, and that's kind of where we are. So anyways, that's it. I just thought I'd share that with you, and my little travel kit that it's very plain Jane, rudimentary. It's not sophisticated. I mean, when I travel, that's not the kit that I would take. That's the kit that I take when I'm going to the lake, I'm going fishing. That's the one that gets just tossed into the backpack. So I'll just walk you back into where I shot the video, and then we'll call it a day. Like I said, it's a 2-acre property. This 1 acre here is where all the tree and the bush is. Really nice piece of land. That's an old shed there. Came with the property. That's where the riding lawnmower is. That was my little station this morning. Sorry if the video's not steady. There's no level ground here. Anyways. We're gonna have some coffee, finish my smoke here. My buddy's just on the deck over there with the dogs, and that's it. That's what we're doing this morning. I'm gonna head back home probably around lunchtime. So anyways, that's what I was doing today, and that's my little travel kit going to the lake. Hey, easy, Will. All right, Prairie Piper out. Have a good day and enjoy the week. Bye.